It is my privilege as Chairman of Timor Shamrocks to welcome you to this unusual All-Stars format from St Patrick's Clubhouse, Dona. This is our fourth awards ceremony, and what a unique year this has been. I extend thanks on behalf of our club to all our sponsors, without whom this event would not have been possible. I want to particularly thank NSERC and Quinn Building Products. Our 12-member All-Star Committee, yet again, delivered an outstanding, albeit a very different event to those of past years, and I want to extend our sincere thanks to them for all their hard work. On behalf of our club and its All-Stars Committee, I want to express our gratitude to the panel of judges. Our judges, chosen from clubs across the county, attended all games during the senior, intermediate and junior championships. They watched 20 clubs and almost 400 players endeavour to play to the best of their ability, and they subsequently had the challenging task of choosing 15 players together with a senior and young player of the year. The judges also had the task of choosing the best performing referee across all the championship matches. The Health and Wellbeing Award, now in its second year, has again been chosen by Damien McHugh, Chairman of the County Fermanagh Health and Wellbeing Committee. Damien has been the driving force in making health and wellbeing an integral part of the Fermanagh clubs. Health and wellbeing has never been so relevant in a year that is both psychologically and mentally exhausting. I want to acknowledge Joe Baldwin and Sinead McManus, the owners tasked of selecting the Senior and Youth Player Awards for the hurling and ladies football, and to congratulate the winners in the third year of these categories. Our All-Stars Committee has been delighted with the support we have received from the clubs in our county, and we wish to extend our thanks for facilitating our judging panel at each of the championship games. This year it is especially important to acknowledge all clubs and club stewards for ensuring a safe environment for all who attended our club games. 2020 was a year in which our clubs had the additional task of ensuring COVID compliance to assure the safety of all players, club members and visiting Gaels. Thank you also to the officials for officiating in their usual professional manner. I congratulate our County Board officers who ran off excellent competition in all grades, giving club players a platform to showcase their skills despite the COVID-19 pandemic. Whilst attendances were severely restricted, all Fermanagh Gaels who were unable to secure match tickets had the option to view both live and recorded games, enabling them to follow and catch up with their team performance. Well done to Phil Flanagan and the Fermanagh GA TV for a great service. The Hall of Fame nominees and awards reflect our past greats and remind us of their stellar efforts both on the field and in administration within our county. The success of the GA is due to the commitment and time given by many of its volunteers. Our gratitude goes to our panel of past and present county officers for the acumen in choosing the Hall of Fame and club volunteers. Here's hoping that 2021 will be a better year and one in which COVID-19 is less impactful. Now I'll outline the format for this year's awards. Firstly, we will present our Ladies Awards, then the award for our hurlers. Next, we will present our Club Volunteer of the Year, followed by Hall of Fame inductee for 2020. The Club Health and Wellbeing Award will be next, with our Football Club All-Stars and Referee of the Year to conclude this year's presentation. We'll now talk to Sinead McManus to get our Ladies Players of the Year's award. Well, Sinead, for the people who don't know you, maybe you can tell us a bit about your role in the ladies football in Fermanagh.
So this year I took over as chairperson for Fermanagh Ladies. So I did.
Great, and what's it like being in the hot seat?
I suppose it wasn't doing too bad until obviously COVID hit and then everything came in with the restrictions, the rules, getting clubs to do return to play and just making sure everything was kept on top of, that we didn't have any outbreak, and to make sure every club was aware of how they could continue on going forward, and the girls were happy enough to come out. So it was definitely different.
And with the COVID pandemic, how was the ladies' game affected in the county? Were there many competitions had to be shelved?
So the biggest one, I suppose, would have been just the Ulster Club. So it was because we were given that window to get all our competitions played. Unfortunately, the Ulster Club didn't get played in that window, but hopefully after Christmas time we'll get the girls out to do that, because they did put in an awful lot of work and effort to reach that far.
Sinead, how do you find, outside of the COVID pandemic, what's the biggest challenges for ladies football in the county?
I suppose sponsorship would be one of the biggest things. You know, we're lucky enough we have Blake's there and TMC Fitness and Health and Spar and Dergonley. You know, we have them sponsorships, but we wouldn't get as much as other men's clubs or even any other sports would get. So the new committee this year that's what we're doing, looking for more sponsorship for that. And then the increase in membership for the girls as well. Every year it seems to get higher and higher, from underage right up to G4MO. And with that there you'd have more competitions, more fixtures, more expense even as a county to run these competitions. So that there would be another one of our issues.
Well, you know, in spite of those challenges, and the ladies game continues to go from strength to strength, and I'm right in saying there's 17 clubs in the county at the minute.
That's correct. So it is. They're all starting off. Like, we've started off now with our under 11 and a halves, and last year we were fortunate enough to do under 8s as well. So they're coming out at a younger age, and there's great interest with the younger girls wanting to get out. So it's great to see as many girls out for the competitions.
Sinead, maybe moving on to the awards now, Young Player of the Year. Can you maybe tell me what traits you're looking for in the young player, and then tell us who the award goes to for 2020?
So for the young player, what we did as a committee was we had all done a Zoom meeting, and we all brought who we thought, because we all went to different games to see who we thought and everything, and this wee girl stood out. Fantastic, real light on her feet. She can play any position on the field, which was fantastic. She's recently joined our senior county team, so she has, and even speaking to them, you know, the past couple of weeks with her training, she's so versatile, hard working, and she's eager to get going. Any challenge, she will face it.
Sinead, who's your young player for the year?
So the young player is Katie Boyle from Brookborough.
Congratulations to Katie. Thanks, Sinead. Now for the Senior Player of the Year. What strengths, skills, abilities were you looking for in the Senior Player of the Year, and can you tell us who the Senior Player of the Year is for 2020?
So look by chance I got to see this lassie play in every game their club competed in. She's like that, she's versatile, she can take her own score from play, she can play any position as well. In the league and the championship, unbelievable play from her. She'd go from one end of the pitch to the other end the whole time, never give up no matter how hard it got. She was always going and going, real go-getter. So she was, so there was no questioning who she was going to be. Everyone agreed on the committee. She was just absolutely fantastic. So the player is Anya McManus from Connolly.
Congratulations to Anya. Thanks to Zoom for getting the committee to agree unanimously on it. And thanks, Sinead, and well done, Anya. We will now have our Young Player of the Year and Senior Player of the Year for the hurling, and we'll go over to Joe Baldwin, who I talked to earlier, for him to present the awards and tell us a bit about himself and how he came to his selection. Well, Joe, for those who don't know you, can you tell us a bit about Joe Baldwin and maybe some of the roles you had before you became the Fermanagh Senior Hurling Manager?
I'm originally from Kilkeel, the Anriac Club in County Down. That's where I played a lot of my early hurling. Played a wee bit in Uri Shamrocks, and with Castlewellan down as well. My father was from Passage East in County Waterford, a very famous hurling club. We still go down home or down to Waterford quite often, so that's really where my love of hurling come from. Been involved in various guises, coaching and managing with different clubs, both in hurling and camogie. I suppose the most noticeable would be at inter-county level. I've managed my own county down. I've managed Derry, and I've been involved in Antrim as well. I spent 10 years as a head coach of Queen's University Camogie Club, so been on the road quite a bit.
Joe, it's been a mixed up year. We've had the challenges with the COVID pandemic. You just got the league played. You had a good start, a few close results, and you had one or two more significant defeats. You then had a break. How has the year panned out? How have you managed in such a challenging, difficult year?
Not just sort of in a hurling or a sporting context, it's been a very difficult year for everybody on a whole. Like, nobody could have foreseen this, and probably the way that our daily lives has changed for and will be for some considerable time. As far as Fermanagh is, we got involved in November last year. Myself and Ollie and Rory got the squad together, and for me being new, I wanted to give everybody an opportunity to come out and play senior inter-county hurling. So we put together quite a substantial panel, and then from that we wanted to really use the league to give everybody an opportunity to play and assess them from there. And sort of the opening game against Leitrim was a game that maybe on paper we weren't expected to win, and we did win. And then from then on, you were sort of, do we go after a league title here, or do we continue to have one eye on championship and look at players? And certainly the Cavan game, there was only a couple of scores in it, and then we had maybe two disappointing results after that. But we had a series of good challenge games as well. We had a good win against Monaghan, who play in a division higher than us, and then even last week on our return, we had a cracking game against Tyrone. So what we've tried to do is definitely look at the resources that we've got in Fermanagh, but some maybe just think outside the box and see what's available out there. And we've been lucky at the minute where we've got a few lads from Antrim in training with us, and they make a huge difference as well. So maybe one eye on next year as well.
The panel and the team's back now training and back in competitive hurling. The Rowie Maher Cup. I'm sure you and the panel are delighted to be back and at competitive hurling again.
Yeah, look, I mean, for long periods this year we didn't think we were going to get playing hurling at all. So just to be back out, and at inter-county level at this time of year, where we probably would be thinking about next year in pre-season, but we're still very much alive. Saturday's result was fantastic, and we've got a really tough challenge this week, and really at the end of the day there's an opportunity to possibly get to Croke Park here, and that's where I think every young Gael growing up wants to be, to represent their county in Croke Park. So look, it is winter, but we're in this fantastic facility here tonight. We've got a group of boys ready to go and put in a serious shift of training, so we're just looking forward to it.
Great, Joe, and now we'll move on to your selections for the Young Player and Senior Player of the Year. Joe, could you tell us a bit of the strengths and attributes you looked for in your Young Player of the Year, and tell us who the Young Hurling Player of the Year is?
Young Player of the Year this year is a young man. He's very talented at both codes. When I first made contact with him by phone, sort of at this time last year, to invite him onto the panel, you could tell straight away his enthusiasm to get out and hurl. He just couldn't wait to be involved in it. In and around the squad, he's a character. Like, for such a young boy, he's like, we looked to him to boost the morale, to think things is down. Like, he's always got a joke and a smile. On the field, he has exceptional skill, great turn of pace, but he has a willingness to learn, and he'll come to your training and he'll want to know how to improve and how do I get better and what more can I do. He scored some fantastic goals for us this year. He's one definitely for the future, but right now he's one for us. So the Junior Hurler of the Year this year is Tom Keenan.
Congratulations, Tom. Well done. Joe, and now to the Senior Player of the Year. Joe, can you tell us who the Senior Player of the Year is and how you came to that selection?
Senior Player of the Year is, he's a big man. He's a man who's probably been on the road for a while with Fermanagh and with the club. If this was a professional game, this man is a model professional. I was once told by my PE teacher at school many moons ago, that a good player can play in any position. This man is so versatile that we can play him at centre three quarters, we can play him at centre back, we can play him on the edge of the square. A very, very good hurler, very dedicated to Fermanagh, and a natural leader on the field just by the way that he conducts himself and the way that he plays the game. He does the simple things right. He's always there with a kind word to encourage the young boys and to bring them forward. He's a superb role model, and I'm delighted to have him. The Senior Hurler of the Year in Fermanagh this year is Mark Slevin.
Thanks very much, Joe, and well done to Mark. We welcome Peter Carty, former chairman of the county board, and we'll talk now to Peter about his selection of award winners. Peter, maybe before we move on to the awards, a few reflections on the year that's just gone by. On a scale of 1 to 10, how happy are you that you were county chairman in 2020?
Yes, it was a difficult enough year. But I think every year brings its own problems when you're county chairman. And I know this was an exceptional, difficult one. And maybe, yes, I was happy enough to have the term over me and I wasn't in the middle of the COVID situation.
Maybe as county chairman, there were less problems and the COVID stopped a football for long terms within the year.
Oh, yes. You're definitely that situation. And another thing about it is that every term as a county chairman, it brings its own problems within that. So COVID is a problem, but I think you made a very valid point. You know, there was no football being played, so maybe there was less trouble on the playing fields or having to deal with trouble on the playing fields.
How did you feel about the clubs getting priority over county football?
I thought it was a good call. It was good planning. I think the club there proved, and indeed, when we look at all the county finals throughout the TV coverage, they showed that they too have talent, and I think it was a good opportunity to let it be shown to the public the talent that is at club level. And I totally agree that it was a good call and a good timing when they were allowed to play.
Now we're entering into a period of more draconian and tougher restrictions on the island of Ireland in this pandemic. It's an ever-changing picture. We've had successful club games, and as you rightly said, it certainly exposed the quality of football and the enjoyment and the passion within club football, even though we've restricted crowds and all of the above. Do you honestly think that the Sam Maguire and the Liam McCarthy competitions are likely to get played out this year?
Well, I don't know how the situation will be, but whether they get played out or not. But I would say that I think it's a good call of John Horan and indeed Coach Sabanisi to go ahead with both the Liam McCarthy and the Sam Maguire, because you had this decision to make if you were a leader of an organisation like the GAA. If you stopped football completely on hurling, maybe you would lose a certain element of support away from the GAA. By keeping the GAA in front of the people keeps them interested. And I think it also, in a difficult time for people with mental illness and all that, it gives an opportunity for those people to, at least at the weekends, look forward to looking at our games, you know.
So throughout this past year, we've had the we had our usual sterling support from our volunteers and our Hall of Fame people. Now can we move on now, and maybe could you tell us who your choice of Volunteer of the Year was for 2020?
Right, well this, we had a lot of very highly regarded people in front of us to choose from in the volunteer, and the person that we did choose has an outstanding, I'd say maybe over 60 years of service to the association, both at club, at county, and indeed at provincial. And I think that without having a decent volunteer within all clubs, and we are very blessed in Fermanagh to have wonderful volunteers, and I think it proved in the pandemic. And this individual that I'm going to name to you tonight as the Volunteer of the Year has, without any doubt, has proved to me that he has promoted the game, both as PRO at one time, maybe I'm letting away something, as PRO at one time in the county, but also his promotion of Irish culture. Apart from playing games at all, the promotion of the culture within the county, he played a major role, and I know that from working with him at the time in the promotion of both music, song and dance, and also of the Irish language. And I think I am not good on the Irish language, and I regret that, but I must say that the person that I'm going to name to you tonight started from zero, knowing no Irish until speaking Irish fluently, and can do so that at the present time. And it gives me great pleasure to name this man in his 87th year of age, Peter Watson from Inniskillen Gales, as the Club Volunteer of this year.
Congratulations, Peter. Well done. Thanks for that, Peter. That was proof, if it was ever needed, that GA volunteers, being a GA volunteer is good for your health, when Peter Watson has been supporting his club and helping his club out for 60 years and still going strong. Next we move on to the Hall of Fame inductee. Peter, how did you get on with that, and tell us who your Hall of Fame inductee is for 2020?
Well, again, just similar to maybe the club volunteer, I suppose the ingredients of this Hall of Fame is similar. He has given wonderful service to his club, both as a player and as an administrator. And also at county level, he has proven as a county player in his youth. And I do believe in the club that he comes from, he was totally responsible, I would say, for setting up an excellent system that they have at the moment, both in coaching and in the promotion of games at youth level, bringing it right up to senior level. He has been something, to me, a model for other clubs to follow in coaching and in the promotion of coaching and dealing with youth, particularly down to primary school and bringing it right up. And indeed, he has also contributed quite a bit in the county as a teaching staff in schools of the promotion of our Gaelic games. And it gives me, after again, as I said, we had quite a number of very high quality people for this position of the Hall of Fame, but we have come out and have to announce that Hugh Kelly of Derrygonley Harps is the Hall of Fame for this year in Fermanagh.
Congratulations, Hugh, and thanks very much, Peter.
Yeah, you can be the greatest, you can be the best. You can be the King Kong banging on your chest. You can beat the world, you can beat the war. You can talk to God, go.
We'll now do our Health and Wellbeing Club Award of the Year. I spoke to Damien McHugh earlier, who chose the Club of the Year, and he will now tell us how he chose the club that he's now going to present. Well, Damien, for anyone who mightn't know, can you tell us a bit about the health and wellbeing from a GA perspective in Fermanagh?
Yeah. Way back in 2014, there was a motion put to Congress in Croke Park encouraging that we should have health and wellbeing as part of the GAA, and that was adopted by the GAA. And since that, our premise has been to try and have a health and wellbeing committee in every single county in Ireland, and that has been achieved. And part of that role is to try and promote the health and the wellbeing of everyone within our communities, within our clubs, including our supporters, our players, and our fans as well. The idea is to try and promote good mental health, good physical health, and good spiritual health, because if we can take care of all three of those aspects of human beings, then we take care of a more rounded individual. So we are.
Would it be fair to say, Damien, that clubs in Fermanagh have embraced health and wellbeing as part of their ethos, and maybe taking a bit of ownership of it in the community?
Absolutely. I've been very proud to have been the chair of the Fermanagh Health and Wellbeing Committee for the last number of years. It's been a great privilege of mine to watch health and wellbeing grow within the county, and I have to say every single club within the county has embraced aspects of health and wellbeing within their club and within their policy making. It has been a great privilege of mine to actually see that happening. The amount of stuff that is being done by clubs in the area of health and wellbeing is absolutely phenomenal. Some clubs are doing loads and loads of stuff, some clubs are doing small bits, but every small step towards health and wellbeing is a step towards health and wellbeing, and it is a good thing.
The health and wellbeing in communities has had the extra load this year of a pandemic. Are there any measures that you advise from other clubs that they could put in place in their communities?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this has been a very trying year with the global pandemic that we have had. There have been major implications for clubs and for individuals within our communities. It is a fatal condition that does kill people, and we need to be very wary of that. It is highly transmissible. The key messages of the Public Health Authority of safe distancing, staying at home where you can, washing your hands and wearing of face masks, those are the key messages that clubs need to be taken on board, and they need to be encouraging people to do that. So they do. We need to also be very cognizant of the mental health of people. We've had a period of lockdown, we've had periods of restrictions. These will impact on the mental health of people. So as clubs and as communities, and certainly as a county, we're very aware, and we try to put messages of good mental health out there, because these are very trying times. They will affect people's mental health, and we need to be wary that we look after our members and our supporters' mental health.
This year, Damien, you have got clubs to come forward for the award, and within their nomination to name an individual within the club also. So it's effectively a joint award for club and the individual that the club has seen deemed fit to put forward as a winner. Can you tell me a bit about the selection criteria and tell us who the 2020 Health and Wellbeing Award goes to?
Yeah. When we put out the award, we were looking to see, I was looking for people to come back with how their work and the things that they had done had impacted on a positive way in the health and well-being of their clubs and their communities, both within the club and outside of the club, because the GAA is very much a community-based organisation as well as a sports organisation. So we wanted to see a broad range of how that would implicate. We wanted to see some evidence that what they had done and the projects that they had carried out over the last number of years had actually had an impact on their clubs and on their communities. And we certainly seen that in a very, very high level of nominations. There were 6 nominations in total, absolutely fantastic nominations. It was incredibly difficult to actually decide who would actually win the award. But ultimately, the the volume of activities and the impact of those activities was what I looked at most of all, and that's what swayed me towards the winners. And the winners, we decided on a joint award between two nominations that both came from Derry Gunley Club, Aideen Love and Michelle Macaulay. Both nominations, it was incredibly difficult to actually split the nomination between either one of them. It just was, it was a piece of paper between them. It was as much as you could have got between them. So we felt, in light of that we'd make it a joint award for Derry Gunley Club, for both Michelle Macaulay and for Aideen Love. Both very, very deserving winners. But I have to say, everybody who was nominated would have equally deserved to have won. The standard of nominations and the standard of health and wellbeing activity out and within clubs in Fermanagh is absolutely fantastic.
Well done, Aideen and Michelle and Derry Gunley Harps, and thanks, Damien, for judging such a very close contest. Well done again to all, and thanks very much, Damien.
Thank you.
We'll now chat to the chairman of the judging panel, John McElroy. Well, John, fourth year with the selectors, another year gone by, another selection of All-Stars. Your selection committee for this year, who were they, and were there any new faces on the panel this year?
Well, there was one new face. The selection committee this year was Vincey Martin, Mary, who used to be Sweeney. We all know her as Mary Sweeney for another while. Kieran Carey, being a newcomer. Kieran has been about for many years, watching games and so forth, so he was a good selection. We didn't know whether we were going to have Mary this year or not, because after last year, he was getting tied up and so forth, but we're glad to have her back again. And of course, you had your own Timor man, John Doherty, and then myself.
Had you any reservations about taking on the job the year, or was it just an overwhelming relief that the three senior championships were going to get played?
Look, I enjoyed this from day one, because I wasn't having that much to do with football around this period of time, this last 3 or 4 years, so I was glad of the opportunity, and the fact that someone from Timor asked me to do it was a bit of a surprise, because Tampo and Timor wouldn't have had many favourites years ago, but however, no, I was delighted to do it, and I suppose this year was different insofar as that with the COVID and what have you, but fair play to Timor and keeping pushing on it. They organised it from day one and was about to have a go at it no matter what happened. And I think at this stage I've got to say that Phil Flanagan and his committee should be complimented on getting the thing off the ground at all. It was okay, we played a few league matches, etc. When the championship came, there seemed to be that bit more determination, we were going to finish this thing. And as well as that, we'll have to compliment Phil for the enormous work he put into organising Fermanagh TV. It is unbelievable the amount of work he put in there on his own. He was getting help later on, but from hopping about from venue to venue, maybe 2-3 matches on a day, and it was excellent for the people at home who couldn't go to the match or wasn't allowed to go to the match. And that in itself kept a good interest going. But the quality of the championships through the whole 3 championships, I'd have to say was of a high standard.
With the strife of the pandemic, and then we got the relaxation to get our championships played, they seemed to arrive with a bang, and that increased the intensity and commitment of the players and the county as a whole. Of the championships, John, what were the significant highs and lows of some of the teams that would have been in the championships?
Well, first of all, you have to take the highs, and the highs was that the championship was actually played. The lows were probably the fact that if you're winning within your county, you weren't able to partake in the Ulster, which was a bit of a problem. If you want to break down the championships, There were some quality games in senior, intermediate and junior, and the unfortunate thing, and that'll be one of the lows as well, was the fact that the Derrylin co-match hasn't been finished as yet, but no doubt the County Board and the Fixtures Committee will be trying their very best to get it done, I would say, this side of Christmas. Maybe I'm speaking out of turn here, but I would imagine that. The Senior Championship, there were a lot of good games in it. The fact that some of them were played maybe on the lights too was a bit of an attraction as well. The early stages of the year, with interviews with several men, Derrygonnelly were the out and out favourites. Well, you know, I don't look at it that way. You're never out and out favourites, especially when you're going into year 4 or 5 defending the championship, because on any given day you could have a couple of men injured, you could get someone sent off, and bang, all goes haywire. And there's no, and believe it or believe it not, I'm not saying this now because the thing's over and all, I did fancy Adonai. I fancied them from the beginning of the year. The power they came out with against Ballinalack after last year, you knew they were meaning business. The game against yourselves, Timor, was a very tough, good game, and every time that they went in front, you boys seemed to come back and get a couple of scores and made it very entertaining. And I sort of made up my mind that evening that Adderley's going to take a bit of beating. So talking to the usual characters after the match, they were saying, no, Derrygonnelly's favourites and so forth. And I said, I don't usually bet now, but this time I'm going to have a small bet on Adonai, just to keep you reminded that I did say that. You know, when I'm not trying to make up that I knew all before it, but Derrygonnelly, it can happen any team on the day. Derrygonnelly's some of the passes falling short, etc. It just, there was nothing anyone could do about it, managers or anything else. It just happened on the day, and Adderley lapped it up, and fair dues to them, because they're knocking about now this last few years. And if you want to say, at the beginning of the year, if anyone asked you what do you reckon, well, the two best teams, without a doubt, in the county at that particular time were Derrygonnelly and Adonai. You know, and Adderley's been knocking about this 5 or 6 years there now, and not maybe achieving the final result, but they're thereabouts.
Yeah, Derrygonnelly likely to bounce back, John?
That in itself is a good question, because if you take for instance, the Derrygonnelly boys will say maybe 2 or 3 of them may be thinking about retiring, and there are 2 or 3 of them that would be thinking along those lines, because they're not going to say to themselves, well, we missed the opportunity of getting X number on the row, so now we have to start back at scratch again, and we'll never achieve that in my time, so I might as well pack it in here now. There's also the talk about Derrygonnelly having so many minors and so many good teams. I have my own views on that as well. I'd have a good minor team, and Derrygonnelly had good minor teams, or the good underage teams and so forth. I'm putting it bluntly here, you'll get 5 players out of it and no more. I've seen that proved for years, that you'll just get the 5 players. There'll be all sorts of reasons, there'll be boys will wander off, etc, and if you're getting 5, you're doing well. Now Derrygonnelly would have 5, no doubt. Now whether the appetite's there or not, whether the management stays or not is another question, but Derrygonnelly are a well organised club, and they will see to it that they're not just going to be 4 or 5 year wonders. Like, they have good backup and they have plenty of players knocking around. They might be on the young side, but they're liable to come back again, as long as nobody starts huffing about what happened in the last few years, and that can happen as well.
I suppose one good attraction of the Fermanagh Championships, and as you're saying, they were very competitive championships, intermediate and junior championships, and the junior championship has still to be played out.
Yeah.
As you say, it'd be great if we could see Co and Derrylin doing that this year.
Yeah.
But with the tapestry changing because of the format of the championships in Fermanagh, you have, for example, like Enniskillen are going to go up to the senior championship. Beliek has been relegated to the intermediate, and St Pat's have been relegated to the junior championship. You know, can you see Enniskillen being in the mix in the senior? Is Beliek likely to bounce back, and you know, will St Pat's end up being in a difficult, almost dogfight like teams find in the highly competitive intermediate and junior championships, that you know it'll be a challenge for them to bounce back as well?
Well, not because I'm sitting in St. Pat's venue tonight, but I would be sorry for St. Pat's because they find themselves playing junior football there now, and that'll be the first time ever, I would imagine. Now, down through the years, St. Pat's would have had a good enough average team as well, but the reserve team was always very hard to put away. Now, this year, most of the time they couldn't even field a reserve team, right? Which is a wee bit worrying. But St. Pat's is a good enough stronghold to bounce back. But at the same time, you know, sometimes I favour the setup in the county as it is, and sometimes I don't. You know, a few years ago, it was Newtown Butler who went down to the bottom, and you say to yourself, my God, like Newtown, one of the strongest teams in the county playing junior football. This year, you have Aaron Gales. The possibility also, another stronghold of football that could have happened in a lower division was Devonish. Now, who would ever imagine that happening? Like, in my lifetime, I can not remember Devonish been anywhere else, only up there. You know, so then you're talking about the Gales. The Gales will be in the shake-up, but once again, let no man fool themselves. Championships are not that easy won. And Enniskillen are basically a very, very, very young team, right? And they've won, maybe one, certainly not 2 or 3 leaders, right? And I don't see that many championships been won without a few leaders knocking around. And I just wouldn't be all that confident what Enniskillen's going to do. And there's the attraction of, 4 or 5 soccer teams in Enniskillen. There's the attraction, many other attraction of other fellas disappearing here and there. And all the good work that Enniskillen might have put in at minor or anything like that there, they'd not necessarily follow through. So they're in the shake-up. Now yourselves are in the shake-up. Timor, believe it or not, are in the shake-up as well, because what I've seen in them this year, they've got a lot of young boys knocking it out at the minute. And there's a few seasoned boys there as well. And Timor's not playing the Timor football anymore. They're playing an attractive brand of football across the field and diagonal balls and so forth. It's just not the one hoof in all the time or the big long kick. So, and after watching a couple of them there on Sunday playing for Fermanagh now, the goalkeeper was excellent. What do you call him? Cian McManus was very strong, you know. So, it's anybody's choice, isn't it? Now, Adelaide, getting back to Adelaide, they possibly have it all to do too. If Martin McGrath thinks of retiring, they have a big hole to fill there as well. So there's no out and out search.
Possibly that's a reflection of, you know, how refreshing it was that the championship was played, how competitive it was, and that all Fermanagh Gales were hanging on all matches, waiting for the result to come in, waiting to see who they would be playing next, and all round. It was an excellent championship, and the players got the chance to display their skills, tenacity, commitment, all of the above, and the clubs got the chance to, to be proud of, putting forward such competitive teams in such difficult times. Going back then to the selection of the All-Stars, John, your panel of judges, was it unanimous decisions, or again was it like other years where you went into a room socially distant following all the COVID compliance directions, and was it a matter of remotely banging heads together to come up with your all-stars, your young player, senior player and the referee of the year?
No, I must say the selectors there, along with myself, are very honest individuals, and there's no messing about with them. They never sort of just fight for a corner for their own player, which is great, you know. And you're not supposed to do it anyway, but they didn't. But I must say that, and for going around venues and things like that, there we made me fit to get to all the venues, which was totally impossible the way the matches was coming this year. But they were all covered. They were all covered several times over, and I don't think you could, in all honesty, pick a better group, excluding myself, out of the selection committee there. Because once again, I'll say they're honest individuals, and what more than that did you want? Like, and I must say there was no shouting or bawling or anything like this about it. They just give their honest opinion of what they saw on the day. And if you were to look across the whole championships, and they have a good enough idea of taking in the senior championships, the intermediate and junior and so forth, because one of the best games that I saw last year was in the intermediate, and that was between Balcoo and the Bridge in a replay in Canole. And now whether it was the scoring or what the crack was, but it was an excellent day for everyone. Lovely sunshine and everything else. It was a mighty game of football. So that was in the intermediate, which has turned out this last few years to be maybe the main competition in the county. But getting back to your question now, Tom, and I hardly remember what it was. That's the way I felt about it anyway. And you're down to talking about the selection of individuals. You know, we were basing it on the performance in matches. Then, being honest about it and tell the truth about it, we tried to give X number to the winners, to the runners up, the same intermediate and so forth the whole way down the line. You know, you could very well pick all stars and we'll say not a bridge player on it, right? But the fact the Bridge were in the final, like, and there's a couple of games in between and so forth. You know, that type of stuff. All that was taken into consideration. Everything like that was taken into consideration. Now, we might have been having to wear face masks and all at that time, but everybody got their say, and by the time the whole thing was added up, we were all in the one wavelength.
You mentioned there about the honesty and independent integrity of your judging panel. Before we talk to one of the selectors on the thing, have you any thoughts on who's likely to win the Derry Lynn Junior Championship?
There's a couple of things I want to point out just before I go off the whole thing. The Derry Lynn match. Derry Lynn had a particularly good player playing last Sunday in the defence, and there's an equally as good a one playing for them in corner forward. And now, while Coe will be rugged, and any day you could beat Coe in Coe, well, it'll not be in Coe, it would be a good day. So I still fancy Derry Lynn a bit, insofar as when push comes to shove, they're probably better organised and there are a couple of young boys knocking about and so forth. They don't hold me to that one because it's close, it's touch and go.
Very good. Thanks for that, John. One of the
just before you go to that there, it's 52 years since Adney won the championship. I'll give you a task now. If you can name the Timor team of that day, and you weren't around at that time, but somebody be looking back in history. If you can look back and tell me the Timor team of that day, I'll tell you the Adney team man for man.
I can't tell you the Timor team of that day, but what I can say is that the following 7 titles were shared between Temple and Timor from 51, 50, 40 years ago. Is that likely to happen this time round?
You're talking here now of the winners this year?
When Adney won the championship the last time, Timor and Temple shared a number of championships the years thereafter.
Timor.
Is the Adney win the championship this year a good omen for Temple and Timor? Not
for Timor, yes. I'd have to say against my own club, I'd have to say probably yes. But on that year, Adney won it. The next year, Timor won it, and the next year we won it. And then there's a sort of between ourselves and Timor then for a lot of years, because I was trying to play and manage and all that kind of crack, so I remember it well. That's one of the easiest questions you asked me the night, like. But no, it's all right talking about these back-to-backs and all this kind of crack. Like the basic thing about winning championships for Fermanagh, as I've seen it down through the years, is the number of brothers. Like back that time, Adney had 6 McGraths playing. You know, the Timors of this world had the Fitzpatricks and Quinns and so forth. We had the Campbells away back at that time. You know, and even the last time we won it there, we had something like 6 sets of brothers on it. And it's, in a county with a small pick like Fermanagh, that's what usually gets you through. You know, if you have enough brothers and gone out of the house of the one day and the one aim in mind, you know.
Thanks, John. And we'll be chatting again later when you come back to me and we talk about the Young Player of the Year and the Senior Player of the Year. One of the most important positions on a field, and that's the referee. And you've had the task of choosing the referee of the year for 2020. John, can you tell me what you were looking for in your referee of the year, and then if you're going ahead and name the referee for 2020 was?
Well, on the choice, when picking the referee came, there was very little, you know, there was a lot of people had their mind made up early on who it was going to be. But every year at annual convention and county board meetings for 1 or 2 months after, there's always this cry about there's no referees and the games will not be covered, and etc., etc. And I would have to sit back and say, look, the games will always be covered, no matter what happens. There'll be always a referee turn up. And if you find yourself that the quality of the referee mightn't be good, well, people will turn around and say, well, sure, he refereed the game anyway, didn't he? And this year, the man that we ended up with sort of fits into that category insofar as maybe 2 or 3 or 4 years ago, he might not have been heard of. But he made steady progress all along and very capable at the minute, very capable. Now, I'm not that sure. I don't know the individual that well. I might have been talking to him once or twice, which is unusual for me, to referees. But I don't know the lad, but I must say he was very impressive all year. He comes from a club that who would have supplied referees sort of on and off down through the years, but this guy seems to be sort of sticking it out and maybe making a name for himself. I'm unsure what age he is or anything else, but the lad that we ended up with was Barry Monaghan of Evanstein.
Thanks, John. Congratulations, Barry. We'll now chat to Mary Sweeney and get her nominations for 2020. Well, Mary,
how's it going?
not so bad, thanks. We're in familiar surroundings, the two of us.
Aye.
But I don't think we've ever been interviewed here before.
No, actually.
Mary, you're going to go through the goalkeeper and the full-back All-Stars of 2020.
Yeah.
Before we go to that, how did you find the year? You're now in Cavan.
I am, yeah.
Changed time sphere, but all going well. And when you're asked back onto the panel,
I was actually delighted to be asked back on, to be honest, Tommy. Was more than happy to get back out to the football. Like, was obviously like me normally was kind of matches every weekend, few matches most weekends. It's just a bit of a kind of shocker to the system, the whole lockdown thing. But it was great to actually be able to get to the matches, to attend them. And obviously I'd thank Timur for asking me back this year. I know there was plenty of people, like even within our own club, that would normally go to all the games, and they found it very hard this year only getting to the St. Pat's games and so on. So it was a tough year, but at least they could get to watch them sort of at home, so it wasn't too bad. It wasn't total drought.
It was a great tonic for all that. We had matches to go to, competitive matches, and if we didn't manage to get to them, we still could see them either live or recorded.
Yeah.
Now, can you we'll start with the goalkeeper.
Yeah.
How did the panel, what strengths will the panel look for in the goalkeeper? And if you can tell me how you got on, select the goalkeeper, and then maybe name our goalkeeper for the year.
Yeah, well, obviously this year, as you can see from the 3, we had it narrowed down: the Derrygonley goalie, Jack Kelly; the Ederney goalie, Chris Snow; and then the Roslea keeper, Danny Mohan. We were kind of looking for various different things. People, suppose, keepers that were cool under pressure. Ones that were maybe, because their kickouts were decent to their own players, normally getting the ball securely out. Also, we were looking for, obviously, goalkeepers that maybe had that wee bit extra over and above. Like the fellow we picked and end up was basically, he was probably the one who came under the most pressure from forwards. Like we kind of had, we sort of had picked him more or less because he did show a calm head, and he came under probably, as we'd see it, maybe the strongest full forward lines nearly in the county and getting there. I've written down here, this player could be described as Mr. Versatile. He can play in goals and outfield, and has been a stalwart for Ederney St. Joseph's for many years, of which 2020 was probably the highlight, bringing the New York Gold Cup home. He came under immense pressure from quality forwards such as Dara McGurran, Barry Owens, Kiwi Brady during the championship, and definitely earned this award this year. So we ended up deciding on the goalkeeper of the year, going to Chris Snow of Ederney.
Congratulations, Chris, a well-deserved award. Well done. Next, Mary, we move on to the cornerback position, number 2 on the team.
Obviously, our back line, we sort of had an awful lot of maybe people that would be more comfortable playing in the half-back line, and kind of the more standout players obviously would be maybe playing in the half-back position for their clubs. So we've had it kind of drop a couple of them back into cornerback positions. The player we picked for the number 2 award this year is also, he's a very versatile player, and he helped his club get into the senior championship semi-final this year. Normally again slots into the half-back line. However, tonight was named in cornerback. He was pivotal in helping his club reach in that semi-final this year, and had a usual solid performance, and even last year in playing intermediate and working his way on up was the same solid, steady driving force from the back line and consistently helping with the attacks, and has been known to notch a few scores up for the blue and white of Kinawley Brian Bruce. Our number 2 goes to Paddy McGovern of Kinawley.
Well done, Paddy. Congratulations on your cornerback award. Mary, next up is the number 3, the fullback.
The number 3 position is someone who's kind of not a stranger to ourselves. I think he has won at least 1 All-Star before, maybe 2. He is Mr. Solid. When you think probably of Derrygonney Harps and their defensive line, he's probably the first person would spring to mind. He has represented the county with pride for quite a few years in the full back line as well, and would definitely be Mr. Consistency, helping his team in their aim for 6 in a row, and yet again putting in 100% every game he played over the run that the Harps had. The number 3 position goes to Michael Jones, or Mickey Jones of Derrygonney Harps.
Well done, Michael. Mary, last on your hit list is the other cornerback, number 4. Can you tell us who the All-Star for number 4 is for 2020?
Again, we had obviously difficulty in actual finding natural cornerbacks. Our more standout defenders probably would have been, again, as I said, in the half-back position. So again, this is a fella who more constantly would be lined out in the half-back position. Although I noticed this year, or there last Sunday actually, he was playing in the Fermanagh jersey in the cornerback position. He could again feature anywhere in his team. Again, helped his team to reach the senior semi-final this year as well. And again, he's a kind of a fella could play anywhere between from the full back line to the half forward line, and would give it his all no matter where he was played. This year, obviously, he was more commonly in the half back line, but again was helping drive from defence and helping with the attacks. And he again has represented the county with pride, probably at every level as far as I know, and it's great to see him back obviously in the green and white of Fermanagh on Sunday, and obviously he's well used to wearing green and white. It's Timor Shamrock's Cian McManus.
Cian, congratulations on winning your All-Star in your natural position. Next up is Kieran Carey. Next up are is the half back line, and you're also doing the first midfielder. Kieran, can you start at number 5 and tell us how you get on, and tell us who the All-Star for the number 5 on the 2020 All-Star team is?
Well, I'm delighted this player actually made the selection for 2020. Anytime I've seen him this last number of years, he's been outstanding for his club. High level of fitness, very skillful on the ball, always willing to take the game to the opposition. He's very well known in another code as well, and I did notice earlier on this year he was mentioned quite a bit in other teams in another code. But tonight he's obviously a bit GA. And the right half back for 2020 is Coach Ryan Hanna.
Congratulations, Ryan. Okay, we'll move on to centre half back here. Who's our winner for the centre half back position for this year?
Yeah. This player has been an outstanding club servant, come back perhaps close to 15 years. I remember him distinctly playing in the 2008 Championship final, which Jarragoney lost to St Pat's. Dedicated, consistent, very skillful on the ball. One of Jarragoney's outstanding players in this year's championship in a variety of positions, but picked at centre half back, 2020 club all-star is Eamon McHugh.
Congratulations, Eamon. Great here, our left half back.
Yeah, this man was one of the first men on the team sheet this year. Absolutely no debate, no doubt about it. Outstanding footballer for club and county for a number of years. High level of fitness, great leader. And this year became the first Ireland captain for 52 years to lift the New York Gold Cup. It's Declan McCusker.
Well deserved, Declan. Now, Kieran, on to the first half of what is usually seen, can often be seen as the engine room of a team, and where leaders can stand up or fall down. Can you tell us who the number 8 midfielder is for 2020?
Yeah. Well, this man, I'm personally delighted to be given the job of announcing his name, because I can go back about 25 years to when he was in under 14 and had him in a regional development squad. A real powerhouse for club and county for many years, and 2020 saw him gain his well-deserved senior championship medal. An easy selection, Ederney's Marty McGrath.
Well done, Martin. Great year for you, and we're delighted that you've been awarded the Fermanagh All-Star 2020 for number 8 midfield. Next up is Vincent Martin from Derry O'Connell's. Well, Vincent, you have the second midfielder on the half-forward line. Can you pick off there and tell us about your midfielder, the number 9, and declare who our number 9 All-Star is for 2020?
Okay. Completing the midfield duo or engine room on the team is a player of tremendous ability and has a promising future ahead of him at both club and county level. High catching, a huge physical presence and an ability to kick points are just some of the attributes of this player. When the pressure came on the opener of the championship, he almost single-handedly carried his team to victory. Number 9 on the 2020 All-Stars team is Stephen McGullion from Jarragoney Harps.
Well deserved, Stephen. Despite disappointment of losing the championship final, We hope this goes some way to ease that pain. Congratulations, Stephen.
Through the highs and lows, still the energy lights my soul. But I'm still here despite my woes. You know how it goes, it's the life we chose.
All right, Vincent, we'll move on to our number 10 in the half-forward line. Who's your all-star for the year there?
Right half forward in the team, and thoroughly deserving, is a player who's really come to the fore this past number of years, and none more so than in the county championship final, where he displayed courage, ability and a high level of fitness. His work rate is second to none, always willing to help out a colleague, and is probably the most complete team player due to his unselfish work off the ball. From Medley St Joseph's, Paul McCusker.
Paul, you were quoted one time as saying there was nothing more important to you than winning the senior championship. Congratulations on winning the senior championship, and congratulations on your all-star for 2020. Now, Vincent, the centre half forward position, number 11.
Centre half forward is a young man who's really blossomed as the championship progressed and improved at every game. Leading scorer as the championship reached the concluding stages, his penalty conversion in the final propelled his team towards the winner's enclosure and ensured that he finished as leading scorer in the 2020 championship. Blessed with searing pace and a huge appetite for unselfish work are some of the huge attributes. Leading the attack, an all-star for 2020 is Mark McCauley from Medley St Joseph's.
Thanks, Vincent. Well done, Mark. Congratulations. Left half forward on the 2020 All-Star team.
Left half forward is a player who would have won an award quite easily in half back line due to his fitness and versatility. A footballer with an engine like a Mercedes who never seems to stop running. His contribution to his team is immeasurable. An established county player and a young man who will never let the side down. Ball carrying and tenacious in the tackle are just some of his qualities. From St Mary's Maguire's Bridge, Kieran Corrigan.
Well done, Kieran. Last but by no means least, we'll now chat to John Doherty. Now we've come to the full forward line, and John, I'm delighted to see you announcing and telling us who the full forward line is, and particularly from the person who was the pioneer of these All Stars award. And we're all in your debt as Timor Gaels and Fermanagh Gaels for your passion and for your pushing of these All Stars awards, John. And with that, it's over to you now. And can you tell me the number 13 corner forward who's your All Star?
Many thanks, Tommy. Our number 13, and I suppose similar to the whole full forward line, I probably got the easiest thing here. Unlike maybe the back line and the centre field, I think our full forward line generally had the least debate this year. Our number 13 on our All-Star team, he had a tremendous year for his club. He scored in contributions of 1-6 in the quarter-final, 1-3 apiece in the semi-final and final. Made him a top scorer in the intermediate championship, and it played a huge part in his side's ultimate success. A gifted corner forward who will no doubt grace the county jersey in the near future. He has the honour of becoming his club's first All-Star from Enniskillen Gales, Conor Love.
Congratulations, Conor, on your scoring prowess, winning the intermediate championship, and a well-deserved All-Star corner forward. Next up, John, a very important position in any team, number 14, full forward.
Our full forward, he was also in great scoring form this year. Together with the previous winner, they formed a formidable full forward line for the intermediate champions. He was top scorer in the county final with a personal tally of 2-2. A huge versatile player who can play anywhere in the field, as he showed in the county final, and winning his first club All-Star and his club second on the night, our All-Star number 14 from Enniskillen, Richie O'Callaghan.
Well done, Richie. Great to see you get an award. Now, John, to complete the team, who's our other corner forward, number 15?
The final member of our team was a standout figure in his club march to the junior championship final this year. His consistent point scoring, I suppose the highlight being his 9-point tally versus Newtown Butler in the semi-final replay. He has become one of the most feared forwards in the county. Another player who no doubt we will see in the county jersey in the near future. Our number 15 also has the honour of becoming his club's first club All-Star from Derrylin O'Connell's Fergal McGorvan.
Fergal, well done. You were nominated last year, and congratulations on getting the award for John, we're down now to the last two awards for the All-Stars 2020. Can you tell us who the Young Player of the Year All-Star Award is for 2020?
Well, this lad has shown great promise at underage. Has played for Fermanagh under 20s even last year. Very quick and decisive. Scored a goal in the county final and would have a good future. Probably unlucky not to get in the first 15, but he's got equally as good award in the Young Player of the Year. And the Young Player of the Year is Sean Cassidy of Adonai St Joseph's.
Congratulations, Sean. Well, now, John, to our last award and our Senior Player of the Year for 2020.
Well, I go back a long way with this lad because I can remember him clearly from primary school. So that's a long time ago. I can remember him standing in the yard before we started off and I was finished preaching the gospel as usual. He was standing there beside a brother. I'm sort of giving it away at this stage. It's my belief, and I've said it several times, that on many occasions when they were playing for Fermanagh, Fermanagh couldn't really go out without them. No doubt at this stage you know who he might be. His work rate has already been included with some of the rest of the selectors. Undoubtedly Player of the Year for work rate alone. Might not necessarily get all the scores that would be due to him, but we have no doubt that the Player of the Year was Paul McCusker of Anthony St Joseph's.
Great choice, John. Well deserved, Paul.
Cornerback, Colleague was probably pushed. I would have thought that was a free from Fermanagh, and Paul McCusker does well. Whaley Old Fox gives it to Mark McCauley, spins down the left foot. That's looking good.
Inside there, picked up there by Ryan Maguire. Maguire being closed down. Tigers tackling there by Paul McCusker. Brilliant tackling by Paul McCusker, and out he comes with it. It goes to ground and is awarded the free, but Paul McCusker looks so pumped up for this game. He's pumping up everything up the face. He speeds the ball out to Stephen McGull. Man picked up the yellow card a moment ago, but again this time uncharacteristically Ryan Jones takes his eye on the ball and picking it up as Marty McGrath, the man who got a point a moment ago, to Paul McCusker. In a quiet opening 10 minutes. You can't say that about the last 10. He's been everywhere. Still going forward as McCusker. Referee says play can continue. McCusker tries to turn a good ball into space. What an excellent ball down to Casti. Takes on the tackle, good ball into space. Derek on Ederney of numerous players here. Paul McCusker is showing Castillo centre. What does McCusker do? Gets it inside. Surely it's a goal. Yes, indeed it is. It's a goal for Ederney and a goal for Sean Cassidy. Look at the now would you see right through me? And coming out with it there is Ryan Lawrence. He picked up a yellow card a few moments ago. That'll not bother. Brilliant run from Paul McCusker. McCusker on the left foot to tap it over the bar, but yes indeed he has. He has tapped it over the bar, and if anyone deserved a score in the county final, well then it was Paul McCusker.
How you like me now? 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 How you like me now?
John, great selection by the judges, great selection for all our awards. Fantastic competition. It's all looking forward and upwards for 2021. I'm sure you share everybody's thoughts that hopefully it'll be a less challenging year next year in terms of restrictions.
Well, I just hope the panel stay together, that they're satisfactory for Timor's purposes, that we all meet again next year, and John Doherty no doubt will shout out the venues for us, and we'll be there faithfully. We'll be looking to a good year next year, with that no doubt. Down through the groups there'll be people defending their titles, etc., but we'll be at all the venues and hopefully we'll do the same job again.
Great job again, John. Thanks very much. We now draw to a close our 2020 All-Stars and Awards. The football ladies and hurling winners will each receive a specially commissioned All-Stars jersey and a pair of Morphy G8 gloves, courtesy of and thanks to O'Neill's and Morphy Gloves. In addition, the winners will all receive the much sought after All-Star trophy. I'd like to thank the clubhouse for allowing us to use their facilities, that we could run this event in a socially distant fashion, and we were able to observe all the COVID-19 compliances. I'd like to also thank Sean Connolly, who's behind the camera. Thank you very much, Sean. And again, I thank Phil Flanagan and Fermanagh GA TV for running one, the games, recording them and showing them, and two, thank you Fermanagh TV for airing this programme tonight. I'd also like to thank Martin Brady, our photographer, who has supplied us, the All-Star Committee, with hundreds of photographs across all the games to allow us to put our event presentation together tonight. Again, I'd like to thank the selectors on their mammoth and successful task that they've carried out. Also, thank you to the local papers for covering all our championship games, and watch out for the Fermanagh Herald on the 4th of November. That will be running a special article on the All-Stars 2020.
Exclusively in tomorrow's Fermanagh Herald. Don't miss the full list of Fermanagh Club All-Stars winners. Fermanagh Herald, every Wednesday.
Congratulations to our winners. We were delighted as a club to do this event once again in recognition of all our award winners. Keep safe, keep COVID free, and we look forward to next year's championship. Go mí an agad.